Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Activity Strong webinar. My name is Meg Laporte, and I am a member of the Link Senior Marketing team. For today's webinar, we are providing one free NAB, NCAP, NCCDP, NCTRC, and NZ, that's for New Zealand, SRDT CEU credit. To be eligible for the CEU credit, you need to remain on this webinar for the full hour. At the end of the webinar, I will provide a required post-webinar CEU survey evaluation link in the webinar chat box. And it will also be sent to all of the attendees by email this afternoon, so please check your spam folder for that. The survey must be completed by midnight Eastern time this Thursday. If you have any questions, please send them to webinars@linkedsenior.com. CEU certificates will be issued by email before the end of the day on Friday. And yeah, that's it. And over to you, Charles. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Meg. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are. Very excited to be with all of you. We are going to be hosting today a really important, I think, fascinating aspect that I feel sometimes is under-discussed and under-mentioned, which is the power of touch, elevating the human connection. I think there's going to be a special focus in dementia care. So very excited to have you, Laura. Thank you so much for joining. We'll be introducing Laura and her panelists in just a second, but I wanted to introduce you first to Activity Strong if you're new here. This is an initiative that we at Link Senior do it in partnership with amazing organizations that include Activity Connection, NAP, and NCAP. And as you all know, we're using Zoom. And if you want to chat with the rest of the audience, just make sure that you select everyone so that everyone can see your valuable contribution, because by default, it's on host and panelists. And then another note is if you have a specific question for the speakers today, make sure you use the Q&A as it's easier for us to filter and elevate these questions to the speakers. Like Meg mentioned, my name is Charles de Vilmorin. I am the CEO and co-founder of Link Senior. In short, I love activities, love programming. I believe old people are cool and believe that senior living is activity strong. These are two initiatives that we launched at Link Senior, all about celebrating everyone, because we think that everyone is cool, including older adults. And obviously, we deeply believe that activities and life enrichment professionals are essential to senior living. There will be no senior living without them. And so Activity Strong is all about acknowledging, but also empowering and educating these, again, essential members of our industry. Just a quick snapshot, because we get these questions often. Link Senior is a resident engagement platform. We work with many organizations throughout the US and Canada. We touch the lives of 50,000 residents. And all we do is help professionals do what they love more, which is to engage residents with meaning and purpose. We have done a clinical study that was published in a peer-reviewed journal. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. So I thought of many ways of introducing Laura and her work and the power of touch and elevating the human connection. But I also wanted to keep it pretty short. And I think that we all had kind of a deep learning experience about social isolation, obviously, in the past few years. And I think we sometimes forget how humans just like to connect with humans. So when I connected with Laura about inviting her to be on this audience on this webinar today, I was just really excited about the science, but also how you can help anyone, quote unquote, operationalize and make effective some of these well-known evidence-based methods. And so obviously this is one of the many things that AGE-u-cate does. And so joining us today is Laura Ellen Christian, the president of AGE-u-cate, the Training Institute. So Laura, thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to briefly introduce also Yvonne, excuse me, Yvonne Miller, the Life Enrichment Dementia Coordinator with Otterbein Senior Life, who's going to talk about her practical experience. And I also wanted to share that Alicia Fenstermaker might join us. She had something come up. She has really valuable experience. So obviously we'll do amazingly well without her, but if she comes, it will be even better. So with that, Laura, I'll turn it to you. Thank you both for being with us. Very excited for this session and look forward to learning from you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Charles. It's great to be with everyone. And thank you, Yvonne, for joining me. So I'm going to share my screen to kick us off. And we'll get started from there. All right. Hopefully all that is working well and you can see the screen there. So, all right, fantastic. So Charles already shared our learning objectives, so we'll jump right into it. But as he said, we're going to share a little bit of the information behind the power of touch. So as Charles said, I'm with AGE-u-cate Training Institute, but I have over 17 years experience working in the senior living industry, supporting a management company with a 40+ community landscape. And so this is a passion of mine. I am one of you, of everyone on this call today, and so passionate about our seniors and especially people living with dementia. So everything that we're going to share, I've actually done. I've implemented in communities and other settings, and Yvonne will talk about her work as well. But let's jump into the data and the thoughts around touch. We've all heard this phrase, right? Touch as medicine, touch is good medicine. And I want to introduce you, if you don't already know of this person, Dr. Abraham Verghese. So he is a professor at the School of Medicine at Stanford University. And he's most known for his focus on healing in an era where technology tends to override the human side of medicine. So I don't know if you all connect with that, but I certainly do. As I get older and technology gets faster and faster, I think it's so important that we take time to pause and remember that we all are still human. And technology is great, but it can't replace everything, right? Especially just that connection that we all want to have and need to have as humans. So I'm going to share a clip of a TED Talk of Dr. Verghese talking about this. You know what? I'm going to stop my share because I always forget to click these buttons to share sound. All right, and we're back. So let me click.
Well, I think we're missing the sound because you're not presenting in presenter mode, if that makes sense. We see the speaker.
Yeah,
version.
let me try something too. Let me try switching.
Is it because I have my earbuds in?
No, I think it's because you have two screens on, probably.
Okay. You know what? I don't want to hold up, so I can share. I know this video, I've seen it a million times, so I can share with you. But I do have another video, kind of in a few more minutes. So maybe Meg, you can help me when we share that video. But let me share with you what Dr. Verghese says, and he still tells a brief story about a woman who comes into the ER complaining of pain. And she does this several times over the course of months. And then she finally connects with a doctor and they diagnose her with end-stage breast cancer. And he goes on to share that in her journey of experiencing pain and going to the emergency room and seeing multiple doctors over months and months, if someone would have just taken a moment to stop and connect with her and use the power of their human hand, right, in medicine, she could have been diagnosed way before a point where she didn't have that much time to live. And so he tells a little joke that no one will believe you unless you get an MRI, a CAT scan, and all of the medical technology things that exist today, right? They won't believe you until you have all those things done. But we often forget about just the power of connection and the power of having a conversation and the power of the human hand. So he says that, and this is back in 2013, he says that he's so bold to say that the greatest innovation in the next 10 years will be the power of the human hand. And so as we came up on 2023, that was 10 years, right? That was 10 years. And we all know what happened in 2020. So I'm going to share back my PowerPoint here. Hold on one second. And share some data. All right. So that was in 2013 that he shared that. In 2023, we were at that 10-year mark where he said, right, the power of the human hand. We need to get to that and not let technology override how we are connecting with people. And so here's some data from the World Health Organization on loneliness and isolation, right? So you can see the stats there in 2018. You can see how much it rose, right, just at the beginning of 2020. So imagine how much more it rose as we continue to wade through the effects of COVID and continue to do that today. But in 2023, data was shared again. And so you can see that we've made some progress of reducing loneliness and isolation for adults 50 to 80. But there's still work that we have to do just to get back to our baseline that we were at in 2018, right? So we lost a lot of our progress. So all of that, right, is making a case for the power of touch, the motivation for you to really look into this and how you're integrating it into your communities, your organizations to support the people that we're serving, that we love and care about. So we all know this data, loneliness and social isolation have powerful health risk, up to 50% increase in the risk of developing dementia, 25% increase in early death, and up to 30% increase in stroke and cardiovascular disease, right? So you probably already know this. There's a lot of reasons why we want to dig into touch as medicine. So the need for touch. Right? So touch deprivation in old age is real, especially for the medically frail, leading to feelings of isolation, anxiety, poor trust in caregivers, insecurity, decreased sensory awareness. And older adults living with serious conditions are often receptive to touch, but they're least likely to receive expressive human touch. So those first two bullets are directly from the Journal of Holistic Nursing and a publication on the use of touch to improve well-being on older adults. And then what's interesting is the Journal of Clinical Oncology and a publication called Can 40 Seconds of Compassion Reduce Patient Anxiety? They report that nursing students show anxiety about touching older patients. Right? But elders report that touch conveys fondness, security, closeness, warmth, concern, encouragement, all the things that we want them to feel, right? So there's a big gap in what our elders need, what they want, and what we as healthcare professionals, especially those that are just graduating, that we need to enter our workforce to continue this good work, right? They're showing a lack of wanting to do that. And there's power in touch. So if we can really think about how to close the gap between that, right? Close the gap of motivating people to want to engage and touch with our elders, we can enjoy these benefits. Increased oxytocin, decreased cortisol, improving sleep, having faster healing patterns, reducing anxiety, relieving depressive symptoms. So these quotes here and all of this information here, again, is directly connected to those journals and those publications that are supporting the power of touch. So before we go on to talk about compassionate touch, it's really important to think about well, what kind of touch are you talking about? Right? So we get a little apprehensive around just the name and when we say touch, especially in our field, right? Where we also have to worry about other things like elder abuse and people feeling comfortable to engage in care. And dementia, right? Connecting with people living with dementia and making sure that people understand what kind of touch are we trying to engage in, and what is that communicating? Are we doing a good job showing up and communicating how it is we want to interact with someone? So here are 3 different types of touch, right? That can often show up. So instrumental touch. So instrumental touch is touch that we all engage in every day. It's things like helping someone walk down the hallway. It's things like taking someone's hand as they're helping to get up from a chair. It's helping someone in the shower. It is all of those things that you're doing where you have to engage in touch because you're helping that person complete an everyday task, right? So instrumental touch. We all engage in that. Elders, residents, clients of yours, maybe even your family members, they are experiencing touch every day, right? But instrumental touch does not give us those benefits that we just talked about, right? Instrumental touch isn't going to give you this, okay? Then there's expressive touch. Expressive touch is a touch, that type of touch that makes you nervous when you think about touch in your setting, right? So expressive touch is touch that you're engaging in that shows love and intimate connection, right? So I'll let your mind wander on that of types of touch. There's touch that you engage in with your children, hugs, your family members, people that are close to you, right? That you invite into your bubble, right? Into your space, into your personal space. That's expressive touch. And so while we have sometimes moments of touch like that, hugs, right? Expressing our connection to residents and the clients that we're serving, we don't want that type of touch to continue too much, right? Because we're not trying to continue to develop a very intimate relationship, but we do want to continue to communicate to that person that we are connected, that we do care, that we have compassion for them. So that's where we get into skilled touch. So skilled touch, which is what we're talking about and what connects to some of these benefits, right? So skilled touch has a structure and a method to achieve a desired impact or outcome, okay? So that's what we're talking about when we talk about this touch and the power of integrating that into your organization. So skilled touch helps us address the challenge that we always often are seeking and trying to figure out how to keep alive in our organization. So person-centered dementia care practices, and how do we manage stress reactions without popping pills, right? So research supports that touch is a means to reduce behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia and create positive engagement of elders, staff, and family members or family caregivers, okay? So compassionate touch is taking that skilled touch, right? Taking that structure and method to achieve an outcome and combining it with compassion. So having a compassionate presence to be able to show that you care to that person that you're connecting with. And when you combine those two, that's where you really get that magic and the power of touch. So compassionate touch is a way of relating, and it becomes a proactive tool for you and others in your organization. So when we talk about, again, back to outcomes, right? So I said skilled touch, right, is a method and structure where you're trying to have a desired outcome. So let's talk about what some of those outcomes are when you're applying skilled touch techniques. So with AGE-u-cate's program, Compassionate Touch, these are the 5 techniques that we're teaching and that we're empowering you, people like Yvonne and Alicia and other compassionate touch coaches, or if you can teach it to other people to really create this culture and achieve these desired outcomes within your communities. Okay. So we've got compassionate presence, a focused touch technique, a hand technique, a back technique, and a foot technique. Okay. So some people say, and it is true, not everyone likes touch. So we do teach the options of just being compassionately present with a person, right? Without engaging in touch, or engaging in focused touch techniques, which is not engaging in an ongoing technique, but it's just having that presence of touch in a very compassionate way with some pressure that is proven to produce some outcomes. Okay. But I'm going to focus on giving you the research and some of the outcomes on the back technique, because that's the technique that I'm going to show you more about. We're going to show a video. It's going to teach you the back technique. And we encourage all of you to take what you learn, jot down some notes, connect with us after this webinar. And we want you to try the back technique with people that you're engaging with, that are part of your services that you're offering for your organization, or maybe a family member. Okay. So the back technique. So the back technique, it's a slow stroke back massage that uses I knew I wasn't gonna be able to say this. Effleurage, I think that's right. It's a technique, right, where you're moving the palm of your hand in a long, rhythmic, firm stroke, right? So you're applying this in a figure 8 formation on both sides of the back. And this is proven to stimulate the production of endorphins. And there are many studies, and we have a white paper that will share a link that you can download so you can see these studies, read more about the effects of skilled touch. But just the back technique for 3 to 5 minutes of that protocol of doing this slow figure 8 stroke, it helps people fall asleep. It decreases anxiety. It decreases physical expressions of agitation, such as pacing, wandering, and resisting care. It's shown to ease pain and decrease blood pressure and heart rate. And all of this is up to 30 minutes. It sustains up to 30 minutes following that 3-minute technique. So encouraging your caregivers to, and yourself, right, to spend 3 connected minutes with someone, and you can have 30 minutes of the effects of that, right, as you're continuing to engage and care for that person and helping them have good quality of life. Okay. If you have questions as we're going along, please put them in the Q&A and we'll have time to answer those as we go along here. But I'm going to jump right in. So we're talking about the back technique. I'm going to share a video, fingers crossed. So Meg, let me know that we can share this video. Do I need to do anything differently?
Yeah, I don't think so. Let's go ahead and try and hope that the sound works.
Okay.
Oops, so we cannot hear it. I cannot hear it unless others can.
You can't hear it.
Yeah, and my apologies. So maybe you should try with that out. Maybe that will work.
All right. I took my, can you hear me still? Okay. I'm going to try this again. I took my headphones out and see if this works.
And I think you need to share again too.
Yep, I'm trying to do that. So now, Meg, I apologize. The share sound and optimize for video clip,
Oh, is it gone?
it's gone.
Yeah, I did. So I changed the setting thinking that would help, but I guess it didn't. Let me change it again. My apologies. Let's go back. Okay, now try it again. My apologies.
All right.
Very good, thank you.
Margie, does your back ever get tired?
Once in a while,
Okay. Do you think a back rub might feel good?
would feel very good.
Do you mind if I give you one right now?
I would like that, thank you.
All right. So now we're going to do the slow stroke back technique. And to start out, I'm going to have my care partner hold a pillow. And I want to make sure you get this pillow up underneath your arms. Good. And you can just hug it. Perfect.
Thank
All right.
you.
And I want you just to kind of relax. Good. And I'm going to get up and stand behind you. All right.
Fine.
Okay. So the first technique for the back protocol is to warm the shoulders and the arms. And to do this, you're going to do flowing strokes. So this is the flowing stroke to warm the shoulders and the arms. You can do this 6 to 8 times. The compassionate touch is very flexible. So if you don't have a lot of time, just a few strokes will be very effective. So the next part of the technique, you want to step to the side and have your care partner lean forward. They only have to lean forward about 3 inches in order for you to get good strokes, but Margie's able to lean quite a bit further. You don't want to leave your care partner here too long, so about 2 minutes is max. I'm going to work on the opposite side of Margie that I am standing. So I'm going to work over here on the right side first, and you're going to do figure 8s. The key here is to not cross her spine. So I'm going to start here, palm to skin, and go in a figure 8 shape. I'm going to go in slow figure 8 shape. As you're doing the figure 8 technique, you're actually affecting every major muscle in the back, which is extremely effective. It helps to aid sleep. It soothes and relaxes. It can also decrease restlessness and agitation. So once you complete the figure 8 technique on the right side, you want to step to the opposite side of the chair and complete it on the other side of their body. After completing this protocol, you want to always go back to the front. Margie, you can lean back for me. Reconnect with the person and thank them for their participation. Margie, you look very relaxed. Thank you for letting me rub your back. Good. Glad you liked it. And that concludes the back protocol.
Okay. So that's the back technique. As you saw Bill, the care partner in the video doing the slow figure 8 stroke along the back. So I love introducing the back technique because I feel like for care partners, direct care staff who are engaging with residents, especially in a senior living community or other setting, this one tends to be one that you can do, I say, on the go. So you saw the care partner was, the resident was sitting in the chair, and the care partner was administering the back technique in a chair. You can definitely do the back technique like that. It works beautifully. That video goes on to show an adaptation of doing the back stroke and technique while someone is laying down. You can also do it when you are walking with someone. So that's where we found when I was doing this in senior living communities with care partners of you are walking with a resident or with a client from one place to the next, right? From the living room to the dining room, from the dining room to their room, from their room to the front porch, wherever you might be going and transitioning throughout the day. And that's where this back technique can really come in to help you right? Get the most bang for your buck with your time. So being able to engage with that back technique as you're walking with someone, then when you do get to their room, let's say to deliver care or to help that person lay down to go to sleep, to help that person get into the shower, you've made that connection in a way that's really stimulating the production of those endorphins, right? Releasing things that are really going to help them perform their best in the moment, especially if they're living with dementia. So that's the back technique. I'm going to go back here to my screen. I can get this moved forward. There we go. All right. So a little summary of benefits. And again, you can download our Compassionate Touch white paper, and these benefits are going to be outlined for you for each of the touch techniques that Compassionate Touch teaches. But decrease behavioral expressions immediately after skilled touch and sustain for 1 hour, decrease blood pressure and heart rate, and sustain for up to 30 minutes afterwards, decrease physical expressions of agitation, easing pain and physical discomfort, decreasing verbal stress reactions, and promoting sleep. So there's studies outlined in the white paper that share with you how all of these outcomes have come to life through practicing these skilled touch techniques. I also want to make a note that not only does skilled touch support the person that you're care partnering with, but it also benefits you as a caregiver. So touch is proven to have a two-way benefit. So there's a bonus and added benefit for you and your organization of not only supporting the people that you're servicing, but also supporting your staff in terms of when I deliver compassionate touch, I'm getting those benefits, some of those same benefits that I'm giving to someone, the person that you're caring for. Okay. And then this is just a great testimonial around compassionate touch. This is a caregiver delivering that back technique, and the engagement coordinator says Claire was getting up from the chair and Kayla came over and started compassionate touch. She sat back down and was so calm. So just in the moment, you can deliver these skilled touch techniques to keep people engaged, to keep that flow of the day going. So I am going to introduce Yvonne, who is here with me on the screen. Let me get to her slide. So she is Life Enrichment and Dementia Coordinator for Otterbein Senior Life in St. Mary's. I also want to share that congratulations, Yvonne. She was the 2023 Leading Age Excellence in Caregiving Award recipient. So that is fantastic, and we're so proud to be connected with you, Yvonne. But I am going to stop sharing and turn it over to Yvonne, and she can share with all of you how she is integrating the power of touch for her community.
Thank you so much, Laura. So before COVID hit, I got trained in this compassionate touch, and when I was being trained for it, I thought, oh my gosh, I had all these great ideas of how I want to implement it, and unfortunately, that C word hit. I don't even like to say the name anymore, but it hit, and it kind of threw everybody, for a loop. Knowing if I could go back in time, I wish I would have continued to train my staff with the compassionate touch. But, with all the stipulations and things that were going on. And if you're in healthcare, you knew during that time what it did to our residents. That lack of one-on-one, that lack of visits with their families, even staff, we who normally would hug our residents and touch our residents on a daily basis, we didn't want to do that with our residents because we didn't want to get them sick, and we didn't want to bring stuff home to our families. And it was just an awful time. And working in healthcare, we've seen our residents decline at a rapid rate. So I'm a volunteer also for the Alzheimer's Association and been for over 30 years. And they also did some research on, the effects of, the lack of one-on-ones with our loved ones with dementia, and we've seen the death toll go up quite quickly during that time. And we didn't need any scientific database to tell us that. We could see that as caregivers. So when this all, all the regulations started to lift and stuff, the first thing I did was I grabbed my staff together and I taught them the compassionate touch. Normally, when you're dealing with staff, we call them partners in care here. You hear a lot of, we don't have time for that. When are we supposed to do that? But I got the opposite. And this really made me feel good, because when I was training them, and mind you, they just seen the effects of what distance has caused our residents. But once they seen how we did this, they were so excited. They were so excited to get out there and try it on their residents. And as I was training them, they were naming residents who they thought would benefit. So once they got started out on the floor and they were doing this, they seen so many positive reactions from our residents. And what we've seen is that our expressions, our behaviors started to decline. The staff felt like they had a tool that they could help our residents through maybe a tough situation. A lot of times our staff, we expect them to help our residents through some behaviors or some expressions, but we never give them any tools on how to help them. But now they have a tool in their toolbox that they're going to be able to help the residents. So we've seen that we didn't have to give medication the way that we might have with that normal expression. But what I really was really interested in was training the family members. So I had a huge family meeting and I taught the families how to do this. And what happens a lot of times with middle to late stages of dementia and Alzheimer's is families just don't know what to do when they come to visit. They don't know what to say. They just don't know what to do. So their visits are short, they're sweet, and then they kind of go. Or they're busy chasing the staff around and complaining to staff about different things. But I also gave the families a tool, a gift, is what one family member said. Now when she comes to visit, instead of sitting there and don't know what to say or know what to do, guess what she does? She does a compassionate touch with her husband. And you can see not only does it help her husband, but it helps her. She calms. You can see she enjoys her visits now. It gave her meaning to come in to visit. It gave her a purpose. So we have seen some remarkable things come about with this. Actually, I even trained some housekeepers and different folks. Actually, I trained everybody in our building how to do this. And our housekeeping supervisor, you guys are gonna love this. She made these little bags for us, okay? And she put, just in case, we kind of forgot some instructions, she even printed out some instructions for us. And then in this, you guys are gonna love this. So the staff wouldn't have to run around, try to find lotion to do compassionate touch with each resident. She got each resident some aromatherapy lotions that are sensitive for skin. And then we also incorporated some essential oils also for calming the residents. So each one of our residents, because of infection control, of course, we make sure that they each have their own accessible for them. So has this been huge? Oh my gosh, it has been huge. I've also have trained our volunteers to do this. So it has been so powerful. And it's something that continues to grow in our community here at Otterbein. So thankful for the Compassionate Touch team that trained me to do this. It's many years of being in this field, and to have something this powerful to help our residents has been a blessing. So
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Yvonne. It's always so heartwarming for us to hear from Compassionate Touch coaches like Yvonne, and hear how your passion for it, right, trickles and spreads throughout your community. So hearing you train and share about Compassionate Touch with your care partners within your organization, and that evolving into a housekeeper to take the extra step, right? To really create these bags, think about how can we make this work? How can we keep this going? To you extending it to family members, I think that's huge. I know working in senior living communities, what you say is exactly right. Family members come in and they really struggle of how they want to be there and they don't want to not come, but they really struggle with what do I do while I'm here? How do I make things better and not worse? Because sometimes it does get challenging when they go to leave or when they accidentally say something that causes a reaction or things like that. So empowering them with something where they can have a beautiful, fulfilling visit is fantastic. So kudos to you for what you've been able to accomplish there at your community.
I want to say one more thing. I know when I first initiated this, my background is dementia care. And that's what I was focused on at the time. But this has become incredible for end of life residents. When the staff are sitting there waiting for families to come, just trying to make that person more comfortable. We've started to utilize this a lot with our end of life residents. So it's just an incredible thing. And if you are in healthcare, I know a lot of times, this kind of stuff is put on one department. It's usually the activities department, that's their job, or the nursing, that's their job. It takes a village, they say. It takes all of us to care for our residents, and to get everybody involved. And to do that, we got to educate everybody, so that everybody can be a part of our residents' care.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Well, I'm going to share in the chat. Pam Brandon, the founder of AGE-u-cate, was lucky enough to sit down with Yvonne and for Yvonne to share similar to what she shared with you all today. So we do have that in a short YouTube video if you want to share Yvonne's story with other people, maybe that couldn't join this call, or other colleagues that you have to spark some other conversation. So I share that in the chat. And then to add to how Yvonne is leveraging the power of touch and what she's been able to accomplish, since Alicia with Presbyterian Senior Living, she wasn't able to be on with us, she did send me a little bit of what she wanted to share with you all. And I also have, let's see, a case study that we collaborated with Alicia on, that I'll put the link to that as a support of what she wanted to share, but she couldn't be here. But I want to start in sharing Alicia's portion with what Yvonne said of connecting with families of residents, family caregivers. Well, jumbling my words. So Alicia says in her notes to me that for her, it's something she wishes she had when she visited her grandmother Vera in a nursing home for 8 years, that she just never knew what to do when she visited. And back in the late 90s, dementia and person-centered care wasn't popular and people weren't as aware as they are today. So even Alicia's, we all have our personal and our professional connections to why we are passionate and why we want to show up for elevating quality of life for people living with dementia. So Alicia was no different in terms of that connection, just like you, Yvonne, of how powerful compassionate touch can be. But for Presbyterian Senior Living, just a few notes before we roll over to some questions from you all, is she was trained in compassionate touch through Pioneer Network Conference in 2014. And then she made it an action learning project when she was in the Leadership Academy with Leading Age. So there's another connection with you and Alicia, Yvonne, so that's fantastic. So her organization, including, she said, her board of trustees, is supportive of connectedness which is what the term that they use for this touch technique and compassionate touch. So they call it connectedness, and it's even one of their core values, Alicia says. So it's really powerful. Across their landscape, they have trained over 250 people as compassionate touch coaches. This was pre-2020. And she said there's no one position who should be trained. It's really about training the right person on your team. So I know a lot of times if you're coming to this call and you're serving in a role similar to Yvonne of life enrichment, activity director, leading the life engagement programming for your community, you might be thinking, oh my goodness, I can't take one more thing on. Or maybe you're thinking, this is great, I want to take this on. No matter where you are, there's someone at your community that will be a champion for this. So this isn't connected to a role. This is connected to a person, right? Person-centered care, person-centered delivery of that. So find that right person, just like the housekeeper that was able to partner with Yvonne to keep the momentum going there. So she said 2020 made things difficult, as it did for all of us. But during the pandemic, they transitioned to a virtual education, and they made it mandatory each December. So they collaborated with AGE-u-cate, and we supported them on creating virtual trainings to help them keep the culture of compassionate touch alive within their communities. So they are, worked on rebuilding it, helping with turnover. So today they have 52 active compassionate touch coaches across 3 states. And then every community has been empowered through their connectedness training and ongoing weaving this into their culture. So she said her final thoughts is being connected is a human experience. She says we even sing about it all the time. So I think she had some song references, but I don't have those for you today. But she said the next time you give a hug, hold it for 5 or 10 seconds. Give the gift of oxytocin to another person and yourself. And she had a great picture of a puppy pit. If you're connected to animals, she said, we can't all have a puppy pit at work, but we can all share a hug and hold it for a little bit longer to give that gift of the power of touch. So I know I did not do that any justice, as if Alicia could have been here to share that with all of you. So we missed you, Alicia, and hopefully we can connect with you again to share with folks. But Charles, I'll turn it over to you to see if we have any questions.
Thank you so much, Laura. I was texting with Alicia. She is definitely very sorry not to be here. I mean, there's a lot of questions. So I'll start with the question that I was asking you before. And I think part of it is I'm sure the audience might have a little bit of that question as well. You were kind enough to mention the difference between expressive touch and skilled touch. You mentioned this came up often. If you have a word of advice for the audience when they want to start talking about this work, but they're not ready yet to do, how would you help them understand and explain the differences to their team members?
The differences between expressive and skilled touch?
Yes.
Yeah. So I would just be honest and real, right?
Yeah.
Like expressive touch, like explain expressive touch. Google it if you need to, if you want a definition between the two, and start from there. But there's so much research, right? I would start with the data, especially if you're trying to connect with your executive director, or maybe you're trying to connect with other, regional or leaders to say, how can we integrate this? It does. You send an email and you say something about touch and they might just delete it.
Yeah.
How can you get the attention? Start with the data, right? Start with the data, get your nursing leader on board, have a conversation with them, right? They understand the difference between touch because they're delivering their care through touch every day. They understand the power of it. They understand the necessity of it. So start there. Get a nursing leader, get someone else on your team and start talking about how can we introduce this, and start with the data first. So there's some powerful data. Our white paper has some. You can email me, you can email Yvonne or Alicia. We'll share our emails and we can share some of that data with you. We do work in skilled nursing facilities through grants, and that's how we continue to collect outcomes. I can send you data, but start with the data Don't
Mm.
start with the touchy-feely.
No, but I love it. I mean, that was one of the key points for me in your presentation today, saying that it's happening already. You know, it's not, it's happening already through care. And so the idea is to expand that and just make it better for everyone. So I definitely love that piece of advice. You know, just piggybacking on this question, there was another question in the Q&A, and I'll just read it aloud. For patients, residents suffering from dementia-related agitation, how do you go about even getting close enough to provide compassionate touches? So maybe, you know, before touch, what do you recommend to make touch successful? I guess that's the question.
Can I answer that?
Of course.
Because that was always the biggest thing when we started rolling this out.
Yeah.
So the goal is with agitation, sundowners. A lot of times, if you sit back and observe a resident, there's usually a pattern and timing of when this is going to approximately what time. The goal is to start this way before the expression or behavior even starts. We want to prevent it. So if we're creating a calm, relaxing environment, we're hoping, and this is what we've seen, that those expressions never even happen because we have them already. Usually agitation expression is a buildup throughout the day of anxiety and a confusion throughout the day. But if we are stopping that or slowing that down, hopefully they don't escalate to that point. If they're to that point, we hit it way too late. That's not the time to be doing that kind of activity with that resident.
Okay.
So we want to do it before the expression actually happens. And normally, if you observe your residents, you can see them starting to grimace. You can see that they're starting to become a little bitey. This is the time you need to do it, not when they're completely escalated where you can't get close to them like that.
Go ahead, Laura.
No, I would say that's spot on, exactly what I would share. I would also add in, I agree with Yvonne, you don't want to try to engage with compassionate touch when someone is already overstimulated
Sure.
and to the point of exhibiting a stress reaction. But if you are to that point, touch can still be powerful, and that's where you can go to focus touch. So I'm a child of Tipa. I raised on Tipa, and you can do it's been a while, so I can't remember.
Hand over hand.
Thank you. The hand under hand. And that can be a focused touch. So if you can engage with someone and do hand under hand, with them, it's kind of, we used to call it the bro handshake. And if you just do some pumps of focused touch, if someone is in a state of being overstimulated, that's going to have some of those same benefits to get them to a point where maybe they can de-stress a little bit. And if you get them to that point, then you might can then transition that focus touch to the skilled touch, that the hand technique. But you wouldn't go in right there. Yvonne's exactly right. And then you're trying to figure out when did all of that happen? And I'm trying to do the skilled touch hand technique way before after dinner, way before shift change happened.
Yeah. So timing is essential for everyone's comment. And then obviously if we are at that stage of like the expression, then if appropriate, focused. Love that. Love that. Another question had to do about pain, right? So, obviously some of our residents might be suffering from pain for reason XYZ. How do you go? Any word of advice on that particular point? And sorry, just so you know, the question was specifically around arthritis, sorry, but I think we can elaborate further in pain in general.
Yeah, so I mean, you always, and we teach during compassionate touch, verbal and nonverbal cues. You always you never just want to power through a skilled touch technique, just like you don't want to power through giving care. So you always want to pay attention to what someone's saying, what they're doing, if they have a grimace on their face, if they don't, or if they're not enjoying the skilled touch technique that you're delivering, then you want to stop immediately. So you always want to make sure that you're keeping in tune with those. There are specific touch techniques that have been proven to help with pain. So you just have to ease into it. I mean, it's person-centered care, right? You've got to know your people. You've got to know what other challenges they might be faced with, and when is it appropriate and when is it not. Do you have anything to add to that, Yvonne?
Spot on.
We're almost running out of time, but I have a few more questions. When you think of the program itself, Laura, and actually Yvonne, because you've implemented it, I'm curious, what in a typical, say, memory care environment, Laura, how long does it take for the program to be implemented kind of in a stable mode? That's the first question. And with that, also, I'm going to assume that staffing is a risk, right? Staffing is a risk for a lot of things these days. But beyond staffing, what will be your word of caution ahead of time for people to really be as successful as possible?
So in terms of engaging with compassionate touch, we are the train the trainer model. So it's going to take you, several weeks, a few months, right, to kind of get everything organized. You want to select who you want to train as your compassionate touch coaches, get those people trained. It's online learning modules through AGE-u-cate. That's 6 hours in length. And then you're empowered after you're trained as a coach, and AGE-u-cate supports you through phone calls, connecting with other coaches. We have implementation plans. So it's really, you can implement it as quick as you have time to dedicate to it to get organized. But it's really important to think about the people, right? Who are your champions? Who do you want to train as coaches? And then how do you want to roll it out? I caution people to being in your roles and doing it and implementing it in one community as well as over a community landscape is don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for the perfect plan. That always gets you. Just do it. If it's something that you're getting buy-in and you have at least one other person, right, that you can get excited about it, just get started. That's what I loved about compassionate touch. You can also train caregivers in the moment. You don't have to bring them together for an hour-long learning session if you don't have the time to do that. It's great if you can roll it into orientation and work towards it being that session, right? But you can also get going just teaching people in the moment. The touch techniques are really that easy, where if you just empower someone, you can get going.
I have to say, Laura, that obviously we are a Linksino technology company, but I'll just say one of the things I love about your program is probably the ease of implementation, because there is less moving parts, right? And you can almost see the impact, I guess on day one. So thank you for that. We're almost at time, and I have one last question for Yvonne. So just in a few words, I'd love to hear, Yvonne, from your perspective, what was your favorite surprise or your favorite kind of aha moment when you saw this happen with your teams and residents?
Where I thought there was going to be resistance, I think we don't give our teams enough credit. Actually, they were hungry for something that they thought would help our residents, and we underestimate our staff sometimes, thinking, they're going to think that this is just another thing for them. They're just going to, groan about this. But to see them like, oh my gosh, I think that this is going to help me help my residents. I think that was the biggest aha moment in how I can do this while I'm already doing my normal care anyhow.
Sure.
As I'm sitting there waiting for lunch to come, instead of talking to my body, I can be actually doing something, doing a hand massage, and it's relaxing me and it's relaxing the person I'm caring for. And we're all chill, and we're having this good conversation, and we're really getting to know each other. And I think that was the biggest aha moment.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Yvonne. And Yvonne, thank you so much for what you do every day for your residents. Laura, I'm sure we have less than 30 seconds, but one last word of wisdom, and then I'll move into announcements.
Oh, gosh, no, not a word of wisdom, but just a word of thanks. So for
Sure.
everyone, for your commitment and what you're doing every day. There's so many things that you can pick from in terms of what you're trying to implement, and you're doing a great job.
Great. Well, Laura, Yvonne, really meaningful hours spent together. Thank you so much. I hope that everyone learned. I'm pretty sure everyone did. So everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to send them by email to our presenters today. Laura, Yvonne, a real pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sure. In terms of announcements, just brief announcement about our upcoming events. We have launched the registration page for our April 2nd with Emily Connor from the Eden Alternative. Very excited for this one, where we'll be looking at, you know, something that we well know, like wellness, well-being, but really the impact of this model from Eden for those living with dementia. And then on April 16th, we'll hear from resident engagement champions, people actually doing the work. So very excited to have Janine and Amanda join us on April 16th. And a brief announcement about our largest event of the year. We are actively working on the topics, the themes, the schedule. Very excited for what's brewing, and we'll be releasing that soon. And that's on June 25th. It's the 5th summit that we're doing. Very excited about that. Again, everyone, thank you for being with us. Yvonne, Laura, you're the best. Meg, thank you for your help. Have a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are. And thank you for the work that you do. Take care, everyone.